Imagine coming home, opening your front door, and finding out a complete stranger has broken in and taken out your children. I mean, it's a horrifying, literally unthinkable scenario for us, right? But out in the wild, well, this chilling reality happens way more often than you might think. Today, in this explainer, we're going to unpack one of nature's darkest, most unsettling behaviors: why male lions actively kill innocent cubs.
Okay, let's dive into this. When we think of lions, we usually picture raw strength, unshakable courage, and this really beautiful sense of family pride. They are the unquestioned kings of the savannah. But if we contrast our highly romanticized view with the actual biological reality out there, we find a seriously dark side to all that majesty. We're talking about massive, powerful adult males actively seeking out and eliminating completely defenseless cubs.
It totally shatters that idealized, majestic version of the animal kingdom we're so used to seeing, doesn't it? I mean, at first glance, it just seems incredibly cruel and, honestly, entirely senseless. Which brings us to the central mystery we're unraveling today. Why on earth would the king of the jungle do something so seemingly brutal? Well, to figure that out, we have to put our human morality aside for a minute and look under the hood at the actual mechanics of lion society.
So, let's look at Section 1, the pride takeover and the transfer of power. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how this plays out. You see, a lion pride is usually controlled by one, maybe a few dominant males. But here's the catch. Their rule is never, ever secure forever. Step 1. These resident males are constantly fighting off roaming rivals. It's a never-ending battle. Then, Step 2. Eventually, inevitably, a new, stronger male wins control of the pride. But then, we hit Step 3. The dust settles. The new king steps up to claim his hard-won territory, and boom, he encounters the cubs that were fathered by the guys he just defeated.
And that brings us to a massive, fundamental biological roadblock. To this newly victorious king, those adorable little cubs represent absolutely nothing to him genetically. Zero. They are not his offspring. Think about it. He just spent immense energy, literally risking his life to win this pride, only to inherit another male's genetic legacy. And honestly, that right there is exactly where the problem begins for him. Which brings us right to Section 2, the brutal strategy and this biological roadblock. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the entire situation boils down to the sheer math of the female reproductive cycle. Lionesses invest incredibly heavily in their young. They spend months and months caring for their cubs, and, this is absolutely crucial, they usually won't mate again until those current cubs are much older and independent. So if the new male just sits back and politely waits for that natural timeline to play out, he takes on an immense risk. He could very easily lose control of the pride to yet another rival before he ever gets the chance to have his own kids. The alternative timeline shows his grim solution: eliminating those cubs entirely. We can basically define this horrific act as a sort of biological hack. By taking out the cubs, the male biologically forces the lionesses back into their breeding conditions so much sooner. It abruptly hard stops their maternal cycle and instantly triggers a fertile cycle. So he isn't just acting out of random anger or spite here. He is forcefully bypassing a massive waiting period that he just can't afford. Because the entire goal for him is speed. This violent shortcut is solely 100% about maximizing his own reproductive window. He needs to father his own cubs and pass on his specific genes before the inevitable happens, before another, younger, stronger challenger shows up on the horizon and takes the whole thing away from him. From the exact second he takes the throne, his biological clock is ticking incredibly loudly. Now let's turn to Section 3, a mother's defense and their fierce resistance.
Because we really can't fully understand this whole dynamic without acknowledging the lionesses. Listen, the moms absolutely do not just roll over and give up without a fight. They mount a fierce, highly organized, and honestly, often deeply tragic resistance. These mothers will routinely risk their own lives defending their cubs against the new king. They'll actually group together to try and fend them off. But, unfortunately, nature's physics are just brutal. A fully grown prime adult male lion is absolutely massive and quite literally built for combat. The mothers face extreme difficulty trying to stop him, and despite their bravest, most unified efforts, they're just too often outmatched by his sheer size and power. Let's move to Section 4, the evolutionary truth, and see how this builds into the broader survival mechanics of the species. To really, truly grasp this, we have to kind of pull back from the individual tragedy happening on the savannah. When we watch these wildlife documentaries, it is so incredibly easy to assign our own human emotions to these animals, right? We want to label the male as evil or heartless.
But the reality? This behavior is driven by millions of years of hardwired evolution. It's a deeply ingrained biological drive. It's a winning strategy that has been ruthlessly selected for over countless generations, rather than any kind of actual malicious intent. The harsh truth is, males who didn't employ this shortcut simply didn't pass on their genes as effectively. They faded out.
So the crucial point is captured perfectly in this quote straight from our source material. In the wild, survival isn't about kindness. It's about passing on your genes to the next generation. And that right there is the cold, hard logic of gene survival. Nature just doesn't care about our human morals or what we think is fair. It only ever rewards successful reproduction and continuity.
It really completely changes how you look at these incredible animals, doesn't it? The very next time you see a majestic male lion proudly roaring across the savannah, surveying his kingdom, just remember what it likely took to secure that throne. That beautiful, iconic image of the proud ruler carries a hidden, bloody cost that is absolutely necessary for his genetic survival. Becoming king, for sure, often comes with a very dark and very deadly price.
Nature is undeniably beautiful, but man, it is also incredibly ruthless. It operates entirely by its own unapologetic set of rules. So let me ask you, would you have guessed there was such a calculated, dark, evolutionary reason behind this specific behavior? It's a really powerful reminder that behind almost every majestic wildlife scene, there is usually a fierce biological imperative pulling the strings. Keep questioning what you see out there, keep exploring, and I'll catch you in our next explainer.